There is a unique kind of loneliness that few people ever talk about, and it is not the loneliness of being physically alone. It is the loneliness of sitting in a crowded room and still feeling unseen. It is the loneliness of being surrounded by family, friends, co-workers, and acquaintances, while carrying a quiet ache that nobody seems to notice. It is the strange feeling of smiling during conversations, while part of your heart remains disconnected from everyone around you. If you have lived through this, then you know exactly how exhausting it can be. You have learned how to appear strong when you feel fragile. You have learned how to encourage others, while secretly wishing someone would encourage you. You have learned how to carry burdens that few people ever noticed. For many chosen individuals, this experience becomes one of the deepest and most confusing parts of their journey. They often wonder why they can be surrounded by people and still feel alone. They wonder why they can love deeply, care sincerely, and give generously, yet still feel like nobody truly understands them. What makes this experience so painful is that it is invisible. Most people can recognize physical isolation, but emotional isolation often remains hidden beneath a calm face and a functioning life. Day after day, you continue showing up. You continue fulfilling responsibilities. You continue helping others. Yet somewhere inside, there is a quiet longing to be fully seen. There is a longing for connection that goes beyond surface conversations and casual interactions. There is a longing for someone to understand the battles you fought without applause, the tears you shed in private, and the strength it took just to keep moving forward. Many chosen people discover early in life that they experience the world differently. They notice things others overlook. They feel emotions deeply. They carry a heightened awareness of people, situations, and spiritual realities. This depth can become both a gift and a burden. While others may feel comfortable staying at the surface, you often find yourself searching for meaning. While others are content with shallow connections, you crave authenticity. While others are focused on appearances, you are searching for truth. Because of this, many chosen individuals spend years feeling out of place. It is not because they are better than others. It is because they are wired differently. Their hearts are drawn toward deeper understanding, deeper purpose, and deeper connection. Unfortunately, not everyone is willing to meet them there. This creates a gap that can feel incredibly lonely. You may have experienced moments when you tried to explain what you were feeling, only to discover that the people around you could not relate. You may have opened your heart only to feel misunderstood. You may have shared your struggles only to receive advice that completely missed the deeper issue. Over time, experiences like these can teach a person to remain silent, not because they have nothing to say, but because they become tired of feeling misunderstood. Many chosen people become experts at carrying their pain quietly. They stop expecting others to understand. They stop asking for help. They become self-reliant because experience has taught them that support is not always available. Yet even the strongest hearts were never meant to carry everything alone. One of the reasons this loneliness feels so intense is because your kindness has often cost you more than most people will ever understand. You have been the listener when others needed someone to talk to. You have been the encourager when others were losing hope. You have been the dependable person others could count on during difficult seasons. Yet many of those same people never realize that you needed support too. This creates a hidden exhaustion that accumulates over the years. You begin to feel like everyone knows your strength, but nobody knows your wounds. Everyone appreciates what you give, but few understand what it costs you to keep giving. God sees this. God sees the moments when you encouraged someone while your own heart was breaking. God sees the prayers you whispered when nobody else knew you were struggling. God saw the tears that nobody else noticed. God saw the nights when you questioned whether anyone truly understood what you were carrying. Sometimes the chosen feel alone because they are in a season of preparation that others cannot yet understand. Growth often requires separation. Healing often requires solitude. Transformation often happens in private before it becomes visible in public. During these seasons, it can feel as though life is pulling you away from everyone else. Relationships shift, conversations lose depth, familiar environments no longer feel the same. What once brought comfort begins to feel empty. This can be unsettling because human beings naturally seek belonging. Yet many of the greatest periods of growth happen when external validation becomes scarce. In those moments, you begin learning how to find your value in something deeper than the opinions of others. You begin learning how to stand firm even when recognition disappears. You begin discovering that your worth was never dependent upon how many people understood you. Some of your greatest victories happened in silence when nobody was watching. The days you chose to keep going when you wanted to quit. The mornings you got out of bed, carrying emotional weight that nobody knew existed. The moments you forgave people who never apologized. The times you remained kind, despite being disappointed. The seasons when you stayed faithful, despite feeling forgotten. These victories rarely receive applause, yet they shape the strongest parts of your character. Every challenge you survived developed resilience. Every disappointment taught wisdom. Every season of loneliness strengthened your ability to stand firm when circumstances became difficult. The fact that you are still standing says more about your strength than you realize. Many people would have surrendered under the weight of what you carried, yet something within you continued moving forward. There is a strength within you that kept moving forward, even on your darkest days. Perhaps that strength did not always feel powerful. Sometimes it looked like simply making it through another day. Sometimes it looked like choosing hope when despair seemed easier. Sometimes it looked like holding on to faith when answers never arrived, but it was strength nonetheless. The chosen often underestimate their own resilience because they focus on how tired they feel rather than how far they have come. They see their scars, but forget the battles they survived. They notice their exhaustion, but overlook their endurance. They remember their disappointments, but forget their victories. Yet every chapter of your journey contains evidence of courage. Every difficult season contains proof that you were stronger than you believed. Loneliness can sometimes distort perspective. It can convince you that your struggles have no purpose. It can make you feel invisible. It can make you question your significance. But difficult seasons do not determine destiny. Temporary feelings do not define permanent value. Your story has value even if it did not unfold the way you expected. The delays, setbacks, disappointments and lonely nights do not erase your worth. In many ways, they have helped reveal it. They have uncovered qualities within you that comfort never could. They have revealed patience, compassion, endurance, wisdom, and faith. They have shaped a heart capable of understanding pain without becoming bitter. They have created a depth that allows you to connect with others who are hurting. They have transformed wounds into sources of empathy. Many chosen people discover that their loneliness eventually becomes one of their greatest sources of compassion. Because they know what it feels like to be overlooked, they become more aware of others who are struggling. Because they know what it feels like to feel unseen, they become people who notice those around them. Because they understand pain, they learn how to offer comfort. What once felt like a weakness gradually becomes a gift. The very experiences that made them feel isolated become the experiences that enable them to bring healing into the lives of others. This does not mean the loneliness was easy. It simply means that not every battle you fought was in vain. Not every tear was wasted. Not every disappointment was meaningless. The seasons that tested you were also shaping who you were becoming. Even now, if you feel alone around people, it does not mean something is wrong with you. It does not mean you are broken. It does not mean you are destined to remain disconnected forever. It may simply mean that your heart is longing for something deeper than surface-level connection. It may mean that you were created for relationships built on authenticity, trust, and understanding. It may mean that God is teaching you to recognize your own value before placing the right people in your path. You are worth far more than the moments that tried to make you feel small. You are more than the rejection you experienced. You are more than the loneliness you endured. You are more than the misunderstandings you survived. There is something deeply valuable within you, even if others fail to recognize it. There is a purpose attached to your life that does not disappear simply because some seasons feel lonely. There is a future still unfolding that contains opportunities for healing, connection, growth, and peace. The story is not finished. The difficult chapters are not the final chapters. The God who saw you in your quietest moments still sees you now. The God who carried you through previous storms remains present in this season as well. Even when people fail to understand your heart, heaven never lost sight of it. Even when you felt forgotten, you were not forgotten. Even when you felt unseen, you were seen. And even when loneliness whispered that you did not belong, your value remained unchanged. If this message helped you feel understood and reminded you that your journey still carries purpose, subscribe to the channel and continue walking with a community focused on faith, healing, encouragement, and personal growth. Sometimes the right message arrives during the exact season it is needed, and there may be more ahead that strengthen your hope and remind you that you truly belong. There comes a point in the life of many chosen people when the loneliness stops feeling temporary and begins to feel like part of their identity. They wake up carrying the same invisible weight they carried yesterday. They enter conversations hoping for connection and leave feeling just as empty as before. They attend gatherings, celebrations, family events, and social occasions, yet somehow return home with the same quiet ache they brought with them. This experience can become especially painful because it creates confusion. You begin wondering why connection seems so easy for some people while feeling so difficult for you. You begin questioning whether anyone could ever truly understand your heart. Yet one of the greatest truths many chosen individuals eventually discover is that loneliness often grows strongest when a person starts measuring their value by how understood they feel. When people fail to understand your journey, it can seem as though your experiences are invalid. When people overlook your sacrifices, it can feel as though they never mattered. When people fail to recognize your pain, it can feel as though your struggles have no significance. But the reality is very different. Your value has never depended upon how accurately others interpret your story. Many of the most meaningful parts of your life exist beyond the understanding of those around you. Some of the battles you fought happened entirely within your heart. Some of the victories you achieved were invisible to everyone except God. Some of the greatest growth occurred during seasons when nobody realized you were changing at all. There were days when you fought anxiety and still showed up. There were nights when you carried disappointment and still chose hope. There were seasons when life felt uncertain and you continued moving forward anyway. Those moments mattered. They counted. They shaped the person you are becoming. Sometimes chosen people feel alone because they spend years giving others the compassion they secretly wish someone would give them. They become the safe place for everyone else. They become the shoulder people cry on. They become the person who listens without judgment, encourages without hesitation, and remains present during difficult times. Yet when they need that same support, they often discover that very few people know how to provide it. This creates a deep emotional imbalance. The heart becomes tired, not because it stopped caring, but because it has spent so much time pouring out without receiving the same level of understanding in return. Many chosen individuals become emotionally exhausted, not from what they endure, but from what they endure silently. They carry responsibilities quietly. They carry disappointments quietly. They carry grief quietly. They carry fear quietly. Over time, silence becomes a habit. They stop sharing because they assume nobody will understand anyway. Yet silence can create walls that make loneliness feel even heavier. The truth is that your struggles deserve acknowledgement. Your wounds deserve healing. Your heart deserves care. You were never meant to become invisible simply because you learned how to survive difficult seasons. One of the reasons God allows certain seasons of loneliness is because loneliness has a unique ability to reveal what truly sustains a person. When everything external becomes uncertain, you begin discovering what remains. You begin learning that peace cannot always be found in approval. You begin learning that identity cannot be built upon popularity. You begin learning that purpose survives even when recognition disappears. These lessons are not easy. They are often learned through tears, disappointment, and waiting. Yet they produce a strength that cannot be manufactured any other way. There are people who appear confident only because circumstances favor them. There are people who appear strong only because life has not yet tested them deeply. But there is another kind of strength that emerges from surviving storms. It emerges from continuing to believe when outcomes are uncertain. It emerges from continuing to love when disappointment would justify bitterness. It emerges from continuing to hope when evidence seems limited. This strength becomes part of the foundation of a chosen life. It is quiet. It is often unnoticed, but it is powerful. Perhaps one of the hardest parts of feeling alone around people is the feeling that nobody truly knows who you are beneath the surface. People may know your responsibilities, they may know your accomplishments, they may know your public personality, but very few know the private battles that shaped you. Very few know the nights you spent questioning yourself. Very few know the sacrifices you made. Very few know the prayers you prayed when nobody else was listening. Yet God knows every chapter. God knows every struggle. God knows every disappointment. Nothing about your journey has escaped His attention. The moments that seemed insignificant to others were not insignificant to Him. The tears that nobody saw were seen. The prayers that seemed unanswered were heard. The strength it took to keep going was noticed. Sometimes people imagine that being chosen means living a life filled with constant certainty and confidence. Yet many chosen individuals experience profound seasons of doubt, loneliness, and emotional fatigue. They are not immune to discouragement. They are not immune to heartbreak. They are not immune to feeling misunderstood. In fact, their sensitivity often causes them to feel these experiences more deeply than others. But sensitivity is not weakness. The world often confuses emotional depth with fragility. In reality, many of the strongest people carry the deepest hearts. They feel deeply because they care deeply. They hurt deeply because they love deeply. They notice things others overlook because their awareness extends beyond the surface. This depth can feel burdensome during lonely seasons, but it also becomes one of their greatest gifts. It allows them to connect with suffering. It allows them to show compassion. It allows them to understand pain without judgment. It allows them to bring light into places where others see only darkness. There may have been times when you wondered whether something about you needed to change in order to belong. Perhaps you tried becoming quieter. Perhaps you tried becoming more agreeable. Perhaps you tried hiding parts of yourself to make others more comfortable. Many chosen people spend years shrinking themselves in hopes of being accepted. Yet, acceptance purchased through self-abandonment never creates genuine belonging. Real belonging begins when you stop apologizing for the qualities that make you who you are. Your kindness is not a flaw. Your sensitivity is not a flaw. Your faith is not a flaw. Your desire for deeper connection is not a flaw. These qualities may not be understood by everyone, but they remain valuable. The loneliness you feel today may not be evidence that you are disconnected from everyone. It may simply be evidence that you have outgrown environments that no longer nourish your spirit. Growth often changes what satisfies the heart. Conversations that once seemed meaningful begin to feel shallow. Priorities shift. Values deepen. Perspectives mature. As this happens, it becomes natural to feel different from people who remain focused on things that no longer resonate with you. This transition can feel isolating, but it is also a sign of development. You are not the same person you were years ago. The experiences you survived changed you. The lessons you learned changed you. The battles you overcame changed you. And that growth matters. Some people will never fully understand your journey because they never walked your path. They never faced your exact challenges. They never carried your specific burdens. Expecting complete understanding from everyone will only create disappointment. But there is freedom in realizing that you do not need universal understanding to possess value. You do not need everyone to recognize your worth. You do not need everyone to approve of your path. You do not need everyone to understand your purpose. Your life remains meaningful regardless. One day, many of the lonely seasons will make more sense than they do right now. You will see how they taught patience. You will see how they developed wisdom. You will see how they strengthened faith. You will see how they protected you from relationships that were not meant to accompany you into your future. Some people left because their role in your story had ended. Some doors closed because they were leading away from your purpose. Some seasons became quiet because noise would have distracted you from what mattered most. None of this means the pain was easy. It simply means the pain was not pointless. The story of your life contains purpose that extends beyond your current circumstances. There is still healing ahead. There is still growth ahead. There is still peace ahead. There are still people you have not met who will appreciate the qualities others overlooked. There are still conversations you have not had that will bring understanding. There are still moments of connection waiting beyond the horizon of this season. Until then, do not underestimate the significance of your perseverance. Do not dismiss the value of your faithfulness. Do not overlook the courage required to keep moving forward. The fact that you continue showing up despite disappointment is evidence of remarkable strength. The fact that you continue believing despite uncertainty reveals extraordinary resilience. The fact that you continue caring despite previous hurts demonstrates a beautiful heart. Not everyone would have survived what you survived while remaining kind. Not everyone would have endured what you endured while maintaining hope. Yet here you are, still standing, still growing, still moving forward. That matters more than you realize. If these words helped remind you that your loneliness does not define your worth, subscribe to the channel and continue receiving messages centered on faith, healing, purpose, and encouragement. Together we can keep exploring the strength that grows through difficult seasons and the hope that remains, even when the journey feels lonely. One of the most beautiful truths that many chosen people discover later in life is that the seasons they once wanted to escape often contain the lessons they would eventually treasure most. When you are living through loneliness, it rarely feels meaningful. It feels heavy, it feels unfair, it feels like a burden that never seems to lift. You watch other people form connections with ease, while you continue searching for a sense of belonging that always seems just out of reach. You begin wondering whether you missed something everyone else learned. You begin questioning why your heart feels different. Yet with time, perspective begins to change. The loneliness that once felt like evidence of abandonment slowly reveals itself as a season of preparation. The silence that once felt empty begins to show signs of purpose. The isolation that once felt painful begins to reveal hidden gifts that could not have developed any other way. Many chosen individuals spend years believing that their greatest weakness is their tendency to feel deeply. They think life would be easier if they cared less. They think relationships would hurt less if they expected less. They think disappointment would be easier to manage if they stopped hoping. Yet the very qualities they sometimes wish they could remove are often the qualities that make their lives meaningful. Your ability to care deeply is not an accident. Your compassion is not an accident. Your sensitivity to the struggles of others is not an accident. These qualities allow you to bring warmth into cold places. They allow you to notice pain that others overlook. They allow you to offer comfort in moments when people need it most. What feels like vulnerability is often a hidden source of strength. The world frequently celebrates loud confidence and visible success, but some of the most powerful forms of strength develop quietly. The ability to remain kind after disappointment is strength. The ability to continue loving after heartbreak is strength. The ability to keep believing after setbacks is strength. The ability to remain hopeful when circumstances appear uncertain is strength. Chosen people often carry these qualities without fully recognizing their significance because they have become accustomed to surviving difficult seasons. They see what they still lack and forget what they have already overcome. They focus on the loneliness that remains and overlook the resilience that has been built. Yet every difficult chapter has contributed something valuable to your character. Every challenge has refined part of who you are. Every season has added depth, wisdom, patience, or compassion. Nothing has been wasted. There may have been moments when you felt forgotten because answers did not arrive when you expected them. You prayed and waited. You hoped and waited. You trusted and waited. During those seasons, it may have seemed as though nothing was happening, yet some of the most important work God does takes place beneath the surface. Seeds spend time underground before they become visible. Foundations are built before structures rise. Preparation often happens before opportunity appears. The same principle applies to life. There are seasons when growth is occurring internally, even though external circumstances seem unchanged. During those periods, patience becomes difficult. Loneliness becomes difficult. Uncertainty becomes difficult. Yet those seasons often produce qualities that remain valuable for the rest of a person's life. Looking back, many people discover that the seasons they wanted to rush through were the very seasons that taught them how to stand firm. If you have spent years feeling alone around people, there is something important you need to remember. The loneliness you experienced is not the full story of your life. It is only one chapter. Sometimes pain becomes so familiar that it starts convincing you it will always be there. It begins whispering that nothing will change. It begins suggesting that isolation is permanent. But difficult seasons are not permanent. Emotions are not permanent. Circumstances are not permanent. Life continues moving. Growth continues happening. New opportunities continue emerging. Healing continues unfolding. The future remains unwritten. One of the greatest dangers of prolonged loneliness is that it can cause a person to underestimate their own importance. When people feel unseen for long enough, they begin wondering whether they matter. When people feel misunderstood for long enough, they begin questioning their value. But your value was never determined by the amount of recognition you received. Your value existed before anyone applauded you. Your value existed before anyone understood you. Your value existed before anyone appreciated your sacrifices. It remains present even now. You are not valuable because of what you accomplish. You are not valuable because of how many people admire you. You are not valuable because others approve of your journey. You are valuable because your life carries meaning that cannot be measured by external validation. The fact that you have endured difficult seasons without losing your humanity says something extraordinary about your character. Many people become hardened by disappointment. Many people allow pain to transform them into someone they never wanted to become. Yet despite everything you have faced, part of your heart continues searching for goodness. Part of your heart continues believing in hope. Part of your heart continues choosing kindness. That is not weakness. That is remarkable strength. Your kindness cost you more than most people will ever understand. There were times when you gave grace to people who never appreciated it. There were times when you offered support without receiving support in return. There were times when you remained loyal while others walked away. These experiences hurt, but they also revealed the quality of your character. They showed that your actions were not dependent upon convenience. They demonstrated integrity. They demonstrated compassion. They demonstrated faithfulness. Those qualities matter. Even when nobody else recognized them, they mattered. There is another truth that many chosen people eventually learn. The belonging they spent years searching for in certain places was never meant to be found there. Sometimes loneliness persists because we keep looking for understanding from people who cannot provide it. We keep hoping for validation from environments that cannot offer it. We keep expecting connection from relationships that were never designed to nurture our growth. When those expectations finally begin to release their hold, space opens for healthier connections to emerge. Space opens for relationships built upon authenticity rather than performance. Space opens for conversations that nourish rather than drain. Space opens for people who appreciate the qualities that others ignored. This process often takes longer than expected, but it is worth trusting. Not everyone is meant to walk every part of your journey with you. Some people accompany you for a season. Some people teach a lesson. Some people offer encouragement during a specific chapter. And some people remain for the long road ahead. Wisdom comes from recognizing the difference. God has not forgotten you. That truth deserves to be repeated, because loneliness often tries to convince people otherwise. God has not forgotten the prayers you prayed. God has not forgotten the tears you shed. God has not forgotten the hopes you still carry. God has not forgotten the sacrifices you made. Heaven's awareness of your life has never diminished. Even in moments when answers felt distant, His attention remained fixed upon your journey. Even in moments when you questioned your direction, His understanding exceeded your perspective. Even in moments when you felt abandoned, His presence remained closer than you realized. Faith does not remove every challenge, but it provides something powerful during challenges. It provides assurance that your struggles are not meaningless. It provides confidence that your story is still unfolding. It provides hope that present circumstances are not the final destination. The chosen often carry scars from battles nobody witnessed. Yet those scars do not diminish their beauty. They testify to survival. They testify to resilience. They testify to the grace that carried them through seasons they once believed would break them. The fact that you are here today means every previous challenge failed to defeat you completely. Every setback failed to stop your journey. Every disappointment failed to erase your purpose. Your story continues. Your future continues. Your growth continues. And perhaps most importantly, your capacity for healing continues. One day you may look back on this season and realize that what felt like isolation was also protection. What felt like delay was also preparation. What felt like silence was also growth. What felt like loneliness was also the development of strength, wisdom, and faith that would serve you for years to come. Until that day arrives, continue honoring the progress you have already made. Continue recognizing the courage that carried you this far. Continue appreciating the strength that remains within you. Continue believing that your life contains meaning beyond what you currently see. You carried burdens that few people ever noticed. You survived battles that few people ever understood. You endured seasons that would have discouraged many others. Yet you are still here, still hoping, still growing, still becoming. That alone is evidence that something valuable lives within you. The loneliness you experienced may be part of your story, but it is not the conclusion of your story. The conclusion is still being written, and the chapters ahead may contain more healing, peace, purpose, understanding, and connection than you can currently imagine. If this journey of encouragement has spoken to your heart, subscribe to the channel and continue walking alongside messages that strengthen faith, inspire healing, and remind you of your worth. May every future message help you remember that you are seen, valued, and never as alone as you sometimes feel.